Hello everyone, I'm Leo from Susan's family. Today, I'm bringing you the Morning Breeze Cashmere Scarf in warm taupe. The scarf consists of the main part and the tassels. We'll start by knitting the main part. Once completed, we'll attach the tassels to the corresponding positions. Let's begin with the main part. It's divided into an increasing section and a decreasing section. First, we'll cast on and knit the increasing section. Then, we'll continue to knit the decreasing section. This scarf uses the method of casting on and knitting as you go. We will work back and forth in rows. Now, let's take a look at the pattern chart. The chart I have here is for teaching purposes only. Please refer to the actual project for accuracy. The chart is in a grid format. Each square in the chart represents one stitch. When counting the number of stitches in each row, simply count the number of squares. Then, match it with the number of loops on your straight needle. The numbers on the side of the chart indicate the row numbers. Arrows show the direction of knitting. Odd numbered rows are worked on the right side. The chart is read from right to left. Even numbered rows are worked on the wrong side. The chart is read from left to right. At the same time, the wrong side should be worked with the opposite stitch pattern. A variety of stitch techniques are used in this project. The chart will mark all the stitch patterns. I won't go through each one individually. Now, let's watch me demonstrate the specific knitting technique. First, cast on. To make it easier for you to see clearly, I'll use cotton yarn for this demonstration. The colors are random. For specific yarn, color schemes, and hook sizes, refer to the detail page of our product and the paper instructions. Make a slip knot with the yarn. Leave the yarn tail slightly longer. This makes it easier to weave in the ends later. Pick up the straight needle with your left hand. Insert it into the loop. Slightly tighten. This is the first stitch. This stitch will be a knit stitch. Hold the other straight needle like a pen with your right hand. Wrap the yarn around your pinky finger once. Gently pinch the yarn with your ring finger and middle finger. Place the yarn between your index finger and middle finger. This is the basic posture for straight needle knitting. Next, place the right needle above the yarn. Insert it from top to bottom into the loop on the left needle. Use your right index finger to guide the yarn. Yarn over and pick up the yarn. Pull it through the loop on the left needle. Don't pull the yarn too tight, otherwise, it will be difficult to pick up the stitches later. This is the second stitch. Continue casting on. Place the right needle above the yarn. Insert it from top to bottom between these two stitches. Yarn over. Pick up the yarn. Pull it through the loop on the left needle. This is the third stitch. Let's take a look. Each time you insert the needle, it should be between two loops. Continue knitting and casting on. Pay attention. Don't pull the yarn too tight. It's okay if it's slightly loose. This is the fourth stitch. The casting on is done. The cast on row doesn't count in the row numbers. Now we'll start working row 1. The chart for this row starts from right to left. This row is represented by blank squares in the chart. It indicates knit stitches. Start with the first stitch. Insert the right needle from top to bottom into the first loop. Note that you are inserting into the loop, not between two loops. Yarn over and draw through. At the same time, release the loop on the left needle. One knit stitch is complete. Continue with the second stitch. Insert into the loop. Yarn over and draw through. Another knit stitch is done. We'll continue using the knit stitch method to complete this row. You can see below, a braid-like texture. The yarn tail is on the left side. The side you're looking at is the right side. That completes the first row. Now, move on to the second row. Turn the workpiece. The chart starts from left to right for this row. The chart shows the texture of the right side of the fabric, so, you need to work the stitches in the opposite direction. The purl stitch symbols in this row should be worked as knit stitches. Insert into the loop. Yarn over and draw through. One knit stitch is done. We'll continue using the knit stitch method to complete this row. Row 2 is completed. Now, move on to row 3. The chart for this row starts from right to left. Work 2 knit stitches. Then, you reach the yarn over. The symbol for a yarn over is a circle. Bring the yarn from front to back over the right needle. The yarn over is done. Work 1 more knit stitch. You can see that. Here, you have 1 extra loop. It's the loop corresponding to the yarn over. Work 1 more knit stitch. Row 3 is completed. Now, move on to row 4. The chart for this row starts from left to right, and you will work the opposite stitch pattern. For odd numbered rows, the chart starts from right to left. For even numbered rows, it starts from left to right. I won't repeat this explanation. Work 2 knit stitches. 1 purl stitch. Wrap the yarn above the right needle. Insert from the bottom up into the loop. Yarn over and draw through. At the same time, release the loop from the left needle. 1 purl stitch is done. Bring the yarn back below the right needle. 2 knit stitches. Row 4 is completed. Now I'll show you a way to count rows. Each braid represents 1 row. The braid at the bottom is formed by the starting chain. It doesn't count as a row. Start counting from the braid above. 1, 2, 3. Plus the loops on the needle also count as 1 row. So here, you have 4 rows in total. You can also count the raised textures. 1 raised texture represents 2 rows. Now we're working on the 5th row. Knit 2 stitches. Move to the slip stitch of the knit stitch. This stitch spans 2 rows. For the first row, knit normally. 1 yarn over. Bring the yarn from front to back over the right needle. Yarn over completed. 2 knit stitches. The 5th row is completed. Next, work on the 6th row. Work the opposite stitch pattern. Knit 2 stitches. Bring the yarn to the top of the right needle. 1 purl stitch. Insert from the bottom up into the loop. Yarn over and draw through. Release the loop from the left needle. 1 purl stitch is done. Move to the slip stitch on the knit side. Work the opposite stitch pattern on the wrong side. You need to work a purl float. Place the yarn above the right needle. Pick up the loop from the left needle with the right needle. 1 purl float is completed. Bring the yarn back below the right needle. For purl stitches, bring the yarn back above the right needle. For knit stitches, bring the yarn back below the right needle. I won't repeat the instructions after this. 2 knit stitches. Row 6 is completed. Now move on to row 7. Knit 2 stitches. Move to the slip stitch on the knit side. This stitch technique spans 2 rows. Knit normally on the first row. Three knit stitches. Row 7 is completed. Now start row 8. 2 knit stitches. One purl stitch. 1 purl stitch with a yarn over. Place the yarn in front of the right needle. The right needle picks up the loop from the left needle directly. The purl stitch with a yarn over is completed. 2 knit stitches. Row 8 is completed. Now move on to row 9. 3 knit stitches. One yarn over. 3 knit stitches. Row 9 is completed. Now start row 10. 2 knit stitches. 1 purl stitch with a yarn over. 1 purl stitch. 1 purl stitch with a yarn over. 2 knit stitches. Row 10 is completed. Continue with rows 11 to 14. Everyone, follow the method you have learned to complete them. Next, start row 15. Knit 3 stitches. Move to the SPO, right upper 2 stitches together. First, slip 1 stitch from the left side as if to knit, then knit 1 stitch. Finally, pass the slipped stitch over. Next, pick up 1 stitch with the left needle without knitting it. Pass it over the 1 stitch on the left side, and slip it off. The SPO, right upper 2 stitches together, is now completed. You can see that the right side loop is above the left side loop. 1 yarn over. 3 knit stitches. Row 15 is completed. Next, start row 16. Knit 2 stitches. 1 purl stitch float, 2 purl stitches, 1 purl stitch float, 2 knit stitches, row 16 is completed. Next, knit rows 17 to 20. Everyone, follow the method you've learned, and complete them on your own. Now, let's start row 21. Knit 3 stitches. One knit stitch SPO, 2 knit stitches, 1 yarn over, 3 knit stitches, row 21 is completed. Next, knit rows 22 to 38. Everyone, follow the method you've learned, and complete them on your own. Now, let's start row 39. Knit 7 stitches. One yarn over. Come to the center of the next 3 knit stitches to be worked together. Insert the right needle from left to right, and pick up 2 loops on the left needle. Slip without knitting. Knit the 3rd stitch. Pick up 2 loops on the right needle, and place them on the loop just knitted. Completing 1 knit stitch with the center of 3 stitches worked together. 1 yarn over. 5 knit stitches. Row 39 completed. Next, work rows 40-42. Everyone, follow the method you have learned. Refer to the diagram, and complete it on your own. Now, start working row 43. 3 knit stitches. One knit stitch with the right side of 2 stitches worked together. 2 knit stitches. 1 yarn over. 3 knit stitches. 1 yarn over. 1 knit stitch. 1 knit stitch with the left side of 2 stitches worked together. Insert the right needle from left to right, through both loops. Knit 1 stitch. This completes the left side of 2 stitches worked together. You can see that the left loop is on top of the right loop. 3 knit stitches. Row 43 is completed. Then work rows 44 to 48. Everyone follow the method you have learned. Refer to the chart, and complete it on your own. Now start working on row 49. Knit 4 stitches. One yarn over. 3 knit stitches. One knit stitch with 3 stitches together. 3 knit stitches. 1 yarn over. 5 knit stitches. Row 49 is completed. Then continue with the remaining rows. Here I'll use a small sample to demonstrate the left upper 2 stitches together. The stitch count and row count for the sample can be anything. Insert the right needle from left to right through both of these loops and work 1 knit stitch. This completes the left upper 2 stitches together. Everyone, follow the method you've learned and complete the remaining rows on your own. There are many rows to knit, so pay attention to checking the stitch count as you go. Next, I'll use a small sample to demonstrate the method for joining yarn. The stitch count and row count for the sample can be anything. Leave about 10 centimeters of each yarn tail. Tie a knot with the new yarn. Pull it tight and bring it to the base. This completes the join. Continue following the chart and knit with the new yarn. Make sure the knot for joining the yarn stays on the wrong side of the fabric. You can start weaving in the ends after a few rows. Here, I'll demonstrate the method for weaving in the ends. Thread the yarn tail onto a darning needle on the wrong side of the fabric. Weave in the ends following the texture. Make sure the yarn tails don't show on the right side of the fabric. You can weave in a few more stitches, then trim any excess yarn tails. This way, the ends are securely woven in. Whenever you need to join yarn, you can use this method. That covers the remaining rows. Up to this point, we've finished the increasing section. Next, we'll work on the decreasing section. One side continues to be worked straight, while the other side is worked with evenly spaced decreases. Eventually, the scarf will form a long triangle. Follow the method you've learned, and refer to the charts. Work the decreasing section until the last row. Now, start the last row by binding off. Watch me demonstrate with a sample piece. First, knit 2 stitches. Then, pick up the first stitch on the left needle. Cover the next stitch. This completes the bind off for 1 stitch. Continue by knitting 1 stitch. Then, pick up the first stitch on the left needle. Cover the next stitch. This completes the bind off for another stitch. Continue to bind off the last stitch. Then, leave a 5 cm tail, and cut the yarn. Thread the yarn tail through the remaining loop. Pull tight. Complete the remaining rows. Up to this point, the decreasing section has been covered. At the same time, the main part has been completed. After completing the main part, you need to attach tassels to both sides of the scarf. The tools needed for making the tassels, and the number of rounds to wrap, can be found in the pattern chart. I will now demonstrate a method for making the tassels. You can learn this method first. Please watch the demonstration. Method for making tassels. Prepare a piece of thick cardboard that is the same length as the desired tassel length. That is, if the desired tassel length is 6 centimeters, then the cardboard should also be 6 centimeters long. First, cut 2 pieces of yarn for later use. Then, wrap the yarn around the cardboard. The number of rounds you wrap can be determined based on actual needs or the amount of remaining yarn. If you want to make a multicolored tassel, combine the colors together and wrap them round the cardboard together. Be mindful not to wrap too tight. After wrapping the desired number of rounds, take one of the prepared yarn tails and insert it through the loops on the cardboard. Then tie a knot to secure it. Pull the yarn tail tight. Insert it again. And tie another knot. Secure it tightly. Then remove the loops from the cardboard. Cut the yarn tails. Cut the lower yarn strands. Trim them neatly. Take another piece of yarn and wrap it about 1 centimeter below the top. Wrap a few rounds. And tie a knot to secure it. Make sure it's secured tightly. Hide the yarn tails inside the tassel. Then trim the bottom slightly. You can use the yarn tails from the top to secure the tassel to the fabric. Like this. The tassel is completed. The tassel is done. Secure it on both sides. Now watch me demonstrate with a small sample. Thread the yarn tail through the sewing needle. Insert it from the back to the front. Come out through the gap in the middle. Thread it back into the tassel. Sew back and forth 2 or 3 times. Tie a knot on the wrong side to secure it. Hide all the yarn tails inside the tassel. The side tassel is complete. Everyone, follow the same method to complete and secure the other tassel. That's it for the tassel tutorial. And that completes the entire scarf making tutorial. If you have any unclear points during the knitting process, don't hesitate to reach us via our website, Susan's Family, supporting your handwork experience. Enjoy the joy of life. Thank you for watching. See you in the next episode.